We could have the best idea in the world, and if people don't listen to us, it's worthless. And what has people listen to us is we love them.
Every day I'm changing, I'm taking small steps, and every time I'm falling, I go to new depths. I will become who I've always been.
Welcome home, inspired entrepreneurs. It's Deborah here. And what you just listened to is one of the most important leadership distinctions I've heard in a long time. Because most founders think that influence comes from strategy, authority, or intelligence. But what David Cunningham is pointing to in this conversation is something far more powerful and far more human. It's the leadership skill that makes everything else work. I've known David Cunningham for over 2 decades, and I've watched him live what he teaches. David has worked with some of the most influential and respected spiritual teachers, humanitarians, and leaders on the planet. When you listen to him, you feel met, you feel safe, you feel remembered. David is one of the rare people who can talk about love in a way that makes you stronger, clearer, and more effective. This conversation isn't fluffy. It's not a nice idea. It's about the most practical leadership skill there is, love. And David is one of the rare people who can talk about love in a way that makes you stronger, clearer, and more effective. Let's dig in. David, it's wonderful to have you here on The Inspired Entrepreneur. Thank you for writing this book. This book completely moved me. This book was needed. It is chocked full of ways for us to connect to who we really are and come from love.
It was important to me, Deborah, to write a book that was not about love. So that you can read a book about leadership and not end up a leader. And you can read a book about being effective and not end up effective. So I didn't want to write a book about love that left people just informed or entertained, but not with an actual new opening, a door open to them, a pathway open to them so that they actually experience themselves in a new way as a loving being. It's the source of real effectiveness as a leader.
You describe discovering love at a very early age. You describe being very young, 4 years old, when you stepped into this church and experienced the unconditional love of Jesus. That happened to me when I was 11. I haven't been someone who's Christian and gone to church for a very long time, but I've always resonated with who Jesus was
Mhm.
and his ability to seemingly love unconditionally, right?
I'm so glad you had that experience, Deborah. I think that whenever we're inspired by another, it's because we see something in them that is us. So if we see a total stranger be kind to a child and it inspires us, it's because that's our love for children being expressed. In that moment, when my little 4-year-old eyes, I was overtaken by the experience of Jesus's love for the children. And like you, I said, I love that much. It was my first encounter with my own soul.
After sharing that experience, you talk about how then you forgot. You forgot that part of you. And I experienced the same thing. I completely forgot that. Yet there was always some sort of longing too at the same time. Why do you think that happens to us?
It takes a lot to stay aware and to stay awake to who we really are. And life, the circumstances of life, plus the way we're educated, literally has us think something else, believe something else. When circumstances in my life, a few years after that, my dad turned violent in our household and we moved away from our whole extended family. So this loving family I thought I had was gone. And then I came out as a gay man and I got told my love was inappropriate and unacceptable. And then as a professional, I got told you don't express love as a professional. So there were many messages along the way, and we get caught up in life, and it seems like love is not the most important thing. And so it goes way to the background to the point where we almost forget about it.
What was your wake up call for the first time after forgetting? And for founders, what quiet signals are there for them to be listening to?
One of my early memories is I wanted to date somebody. Her name was Sally, and Sally didn't want to date me. This is when I was in college. And she said, "But I'm volunteering. So I won't date you, but I'm doing some volunteer work at a center for kids with disabilities. If you want to come with me, you can." So I went with her just because I wanted to be with her. I'd never done anything like that before. She just went and scooped up this little girl named Diane and brought her and put her in my arms, and I just melted, and I felt love again that had that love that I knew I had when I was 4 years old got awakened again. I invite everybody listening to reflect on moments like that, moments of profound love, evidence that who you are is love. I would never tell somebody to be more loving. We naturally love. And that if we're not present to our love and experiencing love and generating love, something closed our heart. So the job is not to become more loving. The job is to free ourselves from whatever had us close our heart. What has us close our heart? Judgment, opinions, resentments, righteousness, fear. That has us close our heart. When we're free of those, when we're free of resentments and free of judgments, of righteousness and fear, we naturally love.
Looking for, where are you judging? Where are you assessing? This is good. This is bad. That is closing the heart down.
We got told, hey, as a professional, you have to watch your love. We got afraid to express it. So that's where we afraid. It's important to point out, Deborah, is for business leaders, this is not a moralistic conversation like you should be more loving, nor is it a Pollyannish conversation like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we were more loving? This is about our fulfillment as human beings and our effectiveness as human beings and our effectiveness as leaders. We're only effective with others when we love them. The great leaders of the world are the ones who refuse not to love. The Mahatma Gandhis, the Nelson Mandelas, the Martin Luther Kings, they are the ones that refused not to love. So we're talking about effectiveness here and leadership. So business leaders who want to be effective with others and lead others without loving them are not going to be effective. You can dominate people, you can force people, you can coerce people, you can convince people for a while, but ultimately it has no power. That's one piece of it. And the second piece is that we're only happy, like glad to be us when we're loving. We're not glad to be us when we're resenting. We're not glad to be us when we're judging. We're only happy to be us really when we're being loving. So for leaders and business leaders, you're not going to be effective generating a business if you're not happy to be you. You got to be happy to be you to have an inspired business. So this is not a Pollyannish nor a moralistic conversation. This is a conversation about what has us be effective and fulfilled as human beings, as leaders, as business leaders.
All we need to do is look in our own experience at those leaders that we most look up to. It was that willingness to be completely open hearted, unaffected. Authentic is another word, leading with your heart. So that makes sense to me. But how do I do that, David?
What needs to be explored is our relationship with judgment, our relationship with resentment. We get trapped in it. So, how do we set ourselves free from what's become normal It's normal to judge. It's normal to resent. But just because things normal is not the same thing as it's natural. So even though it's become normal to judge, we need to take a step back and go, okay, that's not natural for me. And it robs me of my power and my effectiveness and my joy. So how do we free ourselves from that? At the very heart of it, Deborah, you and I got educated that we live in a world where everything is right or wrong, good or bad. One of the things that's essential for us to free ourselves is to be willing to step out of that whole paradigm and relate to the world as we get to say whether it's good or bad, but that's our saying it. That doesn't make it true. It's our view of it. I invite people to begin to really step outside that paradigm. That's one way you free yourselves.
In the book, you asked us to try something out.
To actually relate to love as a way of being versus an emotion. Most of us relate to love as an emotion, like I feel love or I don't feel love. Or we relate to love as a thought process. I have a love thoughts or I don't. Now, the problem with relating to love as feelings is you either have them or you don't, and we've got no control over it. Our feelings come and go. So if we relate to love as a feeling, it's the luck of the draw whether we feel love or not at any given moment. We've got no say about it, no control over it. The same thing is if we relate to love as a thought process. Do I have loving thoughts towards that person? I did a minute ago, but all of a sudden I just had a judgmental thought about them. We've got no control over our thoughts about people either. So if we think that we have to think loving thoughts, we're at the whim, at the mercy of our brains. But there's another domain of life besides what we have. We have thoughts, we have emotions. There's a domain of life called who we're being as human beings. There's ways we be. We can be generous, we can be stingy. We can be respectful, we can be disrespectful. We can be tender, we can be cold. And what's important for us to discover is that that's the one thing we have total control over in our life. We have total say about our way of being. If we relate to love as a way of being, I can be loving no matter what emotion I'm having, and I can be loving no matter what thought I'm having. When I'm tired, can I be cranky? Sure. When I'm tired, can I be argumentative? Absolutely. When I'm tired, could I be funny? Yeah. When I'm tired, could I actually be affectionate? Yeah, I could. Who's it? Our way of being is the one thing we have total say about, no matter what emotions we're having, no matter what thoughts we're having. And loving is a way of being. So we do have a say about it. And we're only happy and effective when we're being loving. That's it. We are not happy and effective when we're being judgmental, righteous, any of it. But that's what we have a say about.
We have thoughts, we have feelings, we have stuff going on inside of us, sensations. And if we stop and look at that, we actually do have dominion over who we're being, but we relate to life like we are our thoughts, like we are those fleeting feelings. And I can really see in those moments as an entrepreneur when I'm indulging or engaging in relating to that, what I'm thinking right now, I'm afraid that this client isn't going to sign the contract. I'm afraid. My experience in that moment is fear. And then I don't want to reach out. I'm anxious versus, okay, I'm afraid. Okay, got it. What's my commitment? I really want to come from love and grace and just trust. And then in that moment, I'm peaceful. And more often than not, David, the experience of fear I'm having, no bearing on reality.
It dissolves. The fear, the angst, whatever, literally will dissolve Most people wait to have the right feelings or the right thoughts before they be something. But if you go the other way, I can start by being loving, and then I find out that the experience of it follows. A good analogy is there's the sky and then the clouds in the sky that come and go. The sky's constant. We're constant. And thoughts and emotions come and go, but we're not them. We can let them go. What doesn't work is to hold on to them. Oh, I had a thought, this person's a jerk. I'm going to grab that thought and hold on to it. Let feelings and thoughts go like clouds in the sky. You let them pass because they're not us, as you said, Deborah.
If this conversation is hitting you in the gut in the best way, and you're realizing, I've been leading from fear, been closing my heart and trying to perform my way to peace, I want you to know you don't have to do that alone. I take a maximum of 15 one-to-one clients per year, and it's based on fit and availability. This is deep work, and I protect the container. So if you want one-to-one coaching with me, book a call and we'll see if it's aligned. And if you're looking for a powerful structured path with community support and execution, check out the Inspire Growth Accelerator. Visit my website, inspire-bp.com, or go to the show notes for more information. All right, back to this episode. So what David shares next is a game changer.
As human beings, we speak first and then we see. People don't think that. They think they see something, then they talk about it. So at the time in my life where I said, my dad is closed-minded. I said that. And then everything he did became evidence that he was closed-minded.
Yeah.
Everything. Once I said he was closed-minded, even the way he chewed his food, it was evidence that he was closed-minded. Everything became evidence. Now, the way he chewed his food was the way he chewed his food. That's not evidence of being closed-minded. But once I said it, I saw it that way. So our speaking shapes our view of life. Our view of life shapes our actions. So once I had a view of him that he was closed-minded, I found myself staying away from him. Now, that wasn't a response to him. That was a response to my view of him.
Yeah.
So for us to really own, and business leaders own, we speak realities into existence. We start seeing life that way. It's a mistake to think, oh, we see it that way because we said it. If we say that person's a jerk, we will start finding evidence of their jerkdom. Once we have a view, that shapes our actions, and our results come from actions. So it's important that we are responsible for what are the views of life that we're giving ourselves. That is shaping our actions, which is giving us the results. Somebody says about themselves, I'm not good at business. Okay, they'll start seeing evidence of that. Then if they go for a day without a sale, that'll be evidence. It's not evidence they're not good at business. What that is going a day without a sale. That's it. But if you said, I'm not good at business, it'll turn it into evidence. That gives you a view of yourself. Now, I'm not good at business. That now solidifies the view. Then you'll start taking the actions of somebody who's not good at business. And you'll have the results of that. So it's very important that we own this and harness this power we have as human beings. Okay, my speaking has me see life a certain way. And the way I see life shapes my actions, and my results come from my actions. Then I want to be responsible for my speaking. What am I going to say about life that has me see life a certain way, that has me take actions that have me be successful in business?
So to that, a real life example, this just happened 2 days ago to me. I said, this client isn't going to renew. And I had XYZ reasons, judgments about my performance, where they're at in their business, even though I knew it would be beneficial for them to renew. I was like, they're not going to renew. But I caught myself and I was like, okay, that's one way to view it. But maybe, just maybe, you don't know. This is what it looks like in business. In the moment, you're catching yourself saying it is this way. you in that very moment can say, I'm releasing. What I would have done is written them off or said, hey, I know you probably don't want to work with it or something to then get that result versus catching myself.
A business who says, I don't care about that love stuff, they would care about it if they knew how much it impacted their effectiveness. And they would care about it if they knew how much it impacted their satisfaction. I'm inviting us to bet it all on love. I bet everything on love. If we're at a poker table and we're placing our chips, and there was one place we could place our chips that was called we're betting on love, bet everything on love. That my loving makes all the difference in my business. My loving my employees, my loving my clients, my loving my competition, my loving the challenges that my love makes all the difference. That I can be smart, but people that are smart and don't love lack effectiveness and they lack fulfillment. It's great to be smart. It's great to be strategic. I can be strategic, but what I'm going to make sure is there is love. That's what's going to guarantee the whole thing.
The returning to love. If you think about your earliest experiences, I think about that a lot. And I'm a mother. And I think about the first time I held my son in my arms. Now, I remember the experience of unconditional love that I had, but I also saw another human being. That's all they were, was just all of it. And until he was about 3-ish, he was just a big lust bug. That's all he was. He would go hug everybody. And then one day, he decided certain people weren't okay to hug. Like, I watched it before my eyes. And for me, that was another realization for myself of perhaps, just perhaps, that is our most natural state of being, is the love. And then just for anybody listening, if you really look for yourself, who are the people that you want to be around? No matter what, whether it's business, relationship, they're the ones that leave you feeling love, like you're okay exactly the way you are. There's nowhere to be, there's nowhere to get to, there's all the spaciousness because all that's there is love.
Yeah, and it's what you say is who are the ones you want to be around and who are the ones you'll listen to. Power is only a function of how much we're listened to.
Mm.
Whether that's with our teenage children. Okay, we could be the authority, but if they don't listen to us, it doesn't do us much good, does it? So a political leader, their power is how much they're listened to. And human beings don't want to listen to somebody that they don't experience love from.
Mm.
We only want to listen to people. We do want to listen to people that we experience love from. So to have power, I don't mean force, real power to create, power to empower. To have power with others, they must want to listen to us. We could have the best idea in the world. If people don't want to listen to us, it's worthless. And what
So
has to want to listen to us is we love them.
I wanted to get back to the book, and throughout the book, you have this idea of the love footprint. I'd love you to share a little bit more about that, please.
Yeah, as we've begun to consider we have a carbon footprint. Okay. How about at the same time, we have a love footprint? In other words, every time we leave an interaction, whether it's a 30-second interaction with a clerk in a store, it's a 2-hour lunch with our family, it's working side by side with a colleague for a year. Every time we leave an interaction, we leave something behind. What do we leave behind? Do we leave behind argument? Do we leave behind judgment? Do we leave behind indifference? Or do we, in fact, leave behind love?
Mm.
It's called our love footprint. And I'm inviting us as a society to take on expanding, ever expanding our love footprint. I have a practice in the morning. I look at my calendar for the day and I look at who am I going to cross paths with today And I actually, as I plan my day, I plan it around what do I want to leave them with when I walk away. So I actually plan my love footprint for the day. And then after I leave an interaction, I give myself a report card. How'd I do on a scale of 0 to 5? 5 is I left love behind, 0 is I left argument. Right? Our love footprint, I think if we took that on as a society, we have a love footprint in every interaction, every time. And I've gotten some feedback recently from people who've said they were about to be argumentative with somebody and they had a thought like, oh, my love footprint. And it literally altered their behavior right in the moment. So I'd like to get that in our conscious. Yes, we have a love footprint and just get it in your conscious and it will begin to shape your behavior. And again, the assertion is when you and I refuse not to love, that's when we're effective. That's when we get things done with people. And that's when we're
So, David, why don't you tell us about the Love Matters collaboration and how people can participate?
great. We created the Love Matters Collaboration as a nonprofit organization, and it's a membership organization. We want people to join. We invite people to join. Now, when you join the collaboration, there's no fee. There never will be because we want to make sure anybody, and I mean anybody in the world could join. When you join the collaboration, you don't pay a fee. What you do is you sign a pledge to expand your love footprint, to ever expand your love footprint wherever you go, whoever you're with, whatever you're doing. I really invite people, come join the collaboration, sign that pledge. We're committed that by the end of 2026, we have members from every country in the world. So we literally can say that it's a worldwide movement to have love prevail on the planet. It's the preeminent way of being. So go to yourlovedoesmatter.com, look to join the Love Matters collaboration and sign your pledge to ever expand your love footprint.
You've got another pledge, and I invite all the listeners, let's expand our love footprint because we all know that love could prevail a little bit more on this planet. David, share how people can get a copy of the book.
How to get the book is from Amazon. It's called Your Love Does Matter by David Cunningham, and it's available in paperback and hardback, on Kindle, and also as an audiobook. So you can order it all from Amazon. And you can also find out about, if you go to my website, which is yourlovedoesmatter.com, you can find out about the book. You can find out about the Love Matters collaboration. You can listen to some free guided meditations I lead.
Will you please leave the listeners with who you are for them by reading that dedication?
This book was written as an expression of love. Humanity, I dedicate this book to you. I love you so very much, and may love prevail as the preeminent way of being on the planet.
I love you.
I love you. Thank you so much for this conversation. Important for the world, for business leaders, for everybody.
Before we close, I just want to honor the space we've been in together. Conversations like this don't happen often, and they're not meant to just inspire us. They're meant to change how we show up. So here's what I want you to take with you first. You don't need to become more loving. You need to notice what's closing your heart, judgment, resentment, righteousness, fear, and choose again. Second, love is not a feeling you wait for. It's a way of being you choose. Third, your power as a leader is directly connected to how much you're listened to, and people listen when they experience love from you. Now I want to invite you to do something simple and world-changing. Go visit David's website, yourlovedoesmatter.com, and join the Love Matters collaboration. Join me, it's free, and take the pledge to expand your love footprint. If we can expand love in our homes, our teams, with our clients, and in our communities, we change what's possible. Welcome home. Welcome to the Inspired Entrepreneur.
Changing, I'm taking small steps, and every time I'm falling, I go to new depths. I will become who I've always
And because I care about you and want to keep things above board, here's the quick legal bit. The Inspired Entrepreneur podcast and the contents posted by Deborah Hartnett is presented solely for general information, educational, and inspirational purposes. The use of information on this podcast or materials linked from this podcast or website is at the user's own risk. It's not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional diagnosis or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay obtaining medical, mental health, legal, or business advice for any situation and should seek the assistance of qualified professionals for any such conditions or decisions.